Sandra Birchmore and Micah Miller are two women whose paths in this life did not cross. However, in the realm they occupy now, their energies are very much united. Both Sandra and Micah are accused of having unalived themselves. Both of these women were involved with men who groomed them, who were abusive in one way, shape, or form, and whose very presence led them to a dangerous, life-threatening situation. And the narrative that is being woven is one that needs to be taken to task. Though they are no longer here to fight for themselves, both Sandra and Micah want the truth to come to life. And today, we're going to consult with my guides to get some answers as to what actually happened to these two women. Please be advised the information contained within this video is based on personal opinion and interpretation of tarot card readings and messages delivered via my guides. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes and should not be considered facts proven in a court of law. Thank you. All right, my friends, we are at the reading table once again, and I tried to tap into each of these women's energy fields to see which decks they wanted me to use, and Sandra's energy pointed to the Lima Tarot, whereas Micah's pointed to the Unfolding Path Tarot. And we will be looking at the Murder Mystery Oracle cards as well. Now, just a quick aside, when I was working on the Karen Reed case videos, there's one where I spoke about Colin and Sandra. In that reading, I definitely got foul play around her passing. I definitely got that she did not end her own life, but I wanted to look further into her situation today and Micah's, and I'm going to go into this with no specific questions. I keep being told, allow these women to tell their stories. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do just that, okay? Then depending on how things net out, I'll probably do a follow-up reading to this with respect to answering some of your questions regarding Sandra and Micah. All right, so Sandra is coming up first. So we're going to set Micah's cards aside and the Murder Mystery cards aside. I'm going to clear the energy of this deck, the Thelema Tarot deck. And I'm going to ask my spirit guides to tell me what they want us to know with reference to Sandra and her situation. All right. Okay, so I didn't even have to speed things up. We had a grouping come out of 1, 2, looks like 4 cards or 5. Sometimes these also stick together. Okay, looks like 4 cards. 4 cards, and then we're going to do Murder Mystery as well for her. Okay, but what does the universe want us to know right now, or what does Sandra want us to know right now about her situation? Justice. Justice, yeah. The Tower. The Ten of Swords. Oh my goodness, you guys. And the Star. My goodness, the universe 100% wants to talk about what I'm hearing as a miscarriage of justice with respect to Sandra's case. And I do believe that, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys can let me know, I do believe that there is some sort of action being taken right now against law enforcement. I'm not 100% certain about the legalities right now, but I'm hearing that something will be up and coming with respect to Sandra's case, because there has been, what I'm told, is a miscarriage of justice. And I find those words especially interesting in that Sandra was expecting a child when she passed. Okay, my friends, and now we have the Tower card. Now, it is interesting to me that 3 out of 4 of these cards have come up in the major arcana, which generally speaks to very strong universal energy behind this person or this circumstance. So the divine team is being called to action for Sandra. The divine team, universally speaking, is being called to action to get justice for this young woman. And this Tower card here indicates to me that something is yet to come, because it is coming on the heels of the Justice card. So if those folks who were directly connected with Sandra, the men who, what I'm hearing, used and abused her, who groomed her, who took advantage of her kindness, her interest, and her affections, if they thought for 1 minute that they were going to skate on this deal, they need to think again. Because there's going to be a Tower moment. Something is going to happen. Something's going to come of this that is going to make people have to turn around now and take a closer look at the circumstances behind her passing. This is what I'm hearing. All right. Then we have the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is that depleted mental energy, that sense of being drained, that sense of having been put upon by your own mental devices, anxiety, worry, fear, doubt. And I believe that Sandra is sending this card, or my spirit guides are sending this card on her behalf, basically to say that in the end, she was suffering immensely from mental fatigue, from anxiety, doubts, and uncertainties, and from having been beaten down. This was a mental beatdown, but this was not of her own doing. So what I'm hearing is that this is very much what the persons that be, the people of power, want everyone to believe. This is the narrative that they are spinning. That this young woman was so mentally exhausted, unstable, drained, that she just basically collapsed under the weight of anything that was going on inside of her own psyche. This is not true. This is untrue. This is false. Okay? She most certainly did not. Sandra was not at that place. And if she was feeling the weight of her own anxieties, it wasn't because she was succumbing to demons of her own mind. These were negative thoughts and doubts and worries and fears and concerns that had been placed there by others. So they were like, wow. Guys, I'm hearing that the people around her, either one or two people around her, but one specific person around her, was working very hard to play mind games with her. They were playing mind games with her, he or they. And they were like trying to get into her head and just mess with her thoughts. Gosh, that is so insanely cruel, guys. And then the fourth card here is the Star. This is the 17th card in the major arcana. And to me, this really speaks to this young woman's energy right now, that she is going to pour everything she has into getting justice for herself. Because I want you to remember, if you happen to have caught some of my readings with respect to Karen Reed, the Star was always representative of law enforcement. And my guides are telling me that Sandra had looked up to law enforcement. She had placed these people on a pedestal. But now, all of that admiration, all of those feelings are done. the cups of emotion that she had, and these are 2 cups of emotion. So I'm hearing that these could be reflective of 2 different men in her life. But the emotion, the affection, everything positive that she had felt once for these individuals, she's letting go of. It is gone. And now, as opposed to looking toward that star with reverence, she's looking toward it to guide her and to guide the powers that be to a conclusion that is fair. I'm hearing for her family. She wants this for her family. For her family. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull a murder mystery oracle card or 2 for Sandra. Yeah, wow. Pretty interesting stuff, guys. Definitely. Alrighty. Let me move these out of the way. Alright, guys, we had another grouping come out for Sandra. 1, 2, interesting. 4 here in the tarot and 4 here for the murder mystery oracle cards. So let's see what they want to tell us. The killer will murder again. Okay, so from this, I'm getting that the individual or individuals may not necessarily carry out the physical act of taking another's life, but they will do whatever it takes to maintain their innocence. And if that means shutting something down, they'll do it. That's interesting energy for me, guys. And then we have argument or fight is a strong factor. Is or was a strong factor. So there had been some arguing going on between Sandra and at least one individual. One of the men in her life. They had been arguing and fighting. And I'm told that the disagreement was coming more from the male than the female. I'm really curious about this card, though. We're going to have to take a closer look. So yeah, there was some sort of fighting going on, and these arguments were taking place like the man was the aggressor, and Sandra was just like trying to stand up for herself. But he kept coming at her just with more and more and more, like ammunition is the word I'm hearing, ammunition. The killer sustained a wound during the murder. So yeah, do we know whether or not the officer that snuck in to her residence and kept himself covered up, cloaked, do we know whether or not he left there with some sort of wound? Something may have happened to him. He sustained a wound. Okay. I don't know. I don't know the facts of this case, guys. I'm going to rely on you to enlighten me more about what happened. And then we have killer profile indicates a narcissist or sociopath. And I find this interesting that we see 2 individuals. And this definitely is also reflective of someone wearing a mask, someone trying to show themselves to be an upstanding citizen, but their true being is that of a devil. And again, this could be more than one individual's energy here. A narcissist and a sociopath, or both. Interesting. But I especially find this card most telling, because what I am hearing, if the people responsible for Sandra's demise, if they get away with it, which they think they already have, they believe they've already gotten away with it, But if nothing further comes of this, so I'm not feeling that this is an actual M word, that this is an actual unaliving of someone. But these individuals will be inclined to toy with someone's emotions, to mess with someone's mind, to take advantage of another individual, and perhaps even come close to driving someone like to the brink. And again, I don't think the brink that Sandra got to was of her own making. I absolutely do not believe that. She was driven there purposely because the people who were responsible, the narcissists, the sociopaths that were responsible for ending her life and that of her unborn child, very, very much wanted it to look as though she unalived herself. But she is saying she did not. And there is a call from the universe, a strong call now for justice, for the truth to come out, for the truth to be known. And I'm hoping that this tower moment comes sooner or later for Sandra's family. Really, really interesting energy here, guys. Okay, thank you. Thank you to my guides for this. Now we're going to move on to Micah's portion of this reading. Okay, let's get this deck that Micah's energy was pointing to. I'll push these aside at the moment. Now, Micah, in her case, she was not involved with someone in law enforcement. Micah Miller was involved with a pastor, I believe, a so-called man of God, an alleged man of God, because I don't believe he was of God. Micah Miller's former husband was anything but a man of the cloth. He was anything but someone who should be held in reverence. But anyway, let's go ahead and see what the universe wants to say, or what Micah's energy wants to pass through my gods. Okay, guys, we had some cards come out. And, okay, we had 5, it looks like. 5 for Micah. Let's just turn him over. Okay. 5 cards for Micah that have come out. I'm going to look at them this way, is what I'm told. We have the King of Pentacles. Yeah, we do, don't we? We have the 3 of Wands here. This card's calling to me with the dark-haired female, the 3 of Wands, Micah. Yep. We have the Wheel of Fortune, another dark-haired female. A lot of dark-haired female energy, a lot of feminine energy here, but one king, self-proclaimed king here. Mighty, mighty king. Yeah, not likely. We've got the Justice card again, guys. Justice coming up for both of these women. Coincidence? I think not. So both of these women, they are clamoring for justice. What does that tell me right out of the gate with respect to Micah's passing? I'll reserve that opinion for the moment. And then we have the 2 of Wands. As Micah's passing was a crime of passion, my friends. A crime of passion. We have the King of Pentacles here. In her husband's or former husband's energy. And I believe his name was John Paul or J.P. Miller. And this man definitely thought very highly, and still does think very, very highly of himself. You can see him. He's just sitting here like, oh yeah, you know, he's got this coin. He's got the riches. He has got the world by the you-know-what. You know, he has just got it going on. He has everybody convinced that he was nowhere near the scene where Micah's body was found, so he couldn't have had anything to do with it. So he's just thinking he's sitting pretty. Think again, JP, because you aren't. Because you aren't. And I have not watched too many readings with respect to how Micah passed. But from the get-go, I have been hearing things are not what they appear to be. And the allegation is that she ended her own life, that she made a 911 call stating that she was about to do just that. She was about to take her life. The authenticity of that call comes into question for me. It does. I'm going to talk about these other cards in just a moment, but this is extremely clear to me. We've got this man who is like, you can't touch me. I'm the King of Pentacles. And then we have this energy, universal energy, calling out for justice. And we've got this sword here. Because this female is basically saying something needs to be done. Something still needs to be done. Action needs to be taken to ensure that the proper people involved in the ending of Micah's life be called to justice. This is what I'm hearing. So what does that tell me? That tells me that she did not unalive herself, guys. That is what I believe very strongly. Okay? That's what I believe very strongly because, just a moment, because here we have the Wheel of Fortune. And I want you to look at this depiction. We have a woman here whose energy is very grounded. And I know that people talk about the fact that Micah Miller may have had some emotional or mental struggles that she was dealing with. But she was also working very, very hard, as was Sandra. You see, these two women are linked, okay? She was working very hard to get things straight with herself. She was like getting to a good place. She was working on herself. She was working on getting grounded. She may have even been studying yoga or some other forms of meditation. She wanted to get right with herself. She wanted to turn her luck around because she was feeling as though her involvement with her former husband was toxic and she wanted to step out of that energy, guys. Okay, that is what she wanted. Now we'll go back here. We'll go back here. All right, guys. We had a couple of cards come out. Let's see what they say. Okay, so the victim engaged in unusual behavior prior to the crime. Absolutely, but check this out. We have a mask here. This unusual behavior to me is indicative of someone who was perhaps pretending to be unwell. This is what I'm hearing. Someone, oh my goodness, guys, someone or someone's wanted this young woman to appear to be unwell. They wanted her to put on a happy face, but by the same token, to wear a mask of unhappiness. And this was unusual because I believe that the people closest to Micah would not have recognized the tone, inflection, the voice, the Micah that they heard in that 911 recording. So that would have seemed unusual to her closest friends and family. And even perhaps her being where she was the day of her passing. Okay, now this is intriguing to me. Two intriguing cards from the Murder Mystery deck, and this is what I may have to look into further. In the future, the killer may admit guilt. I'm going to look at this in a very different light. just like I did with the first card in Sandra's. The guilt that her former husband may, and that is a big may admit to, is that of himself being more involved in being emotionally abusive toward her. He may admit that he wasn't the perfect spouse or husband. I believe to some degree he has alluded to that. But he may admit that some of his actions may have been worse toward Micah than he first put out to the world. But that's it as far as guilt that I'm hearing right now that he is willing to accept or admit to. Because you see, I'm looking at this picture. You see how there's, his head is hung low, the knife's behind his back. But that knife, to me, indicates that his hand was the one that controlled her passing in one way, shape, or form, guys. If not directly, indirectly, okay? And his head is hung low because he knows this in his heart of hearts. But is he ever going to admit to what truly happened to that woman? No way. No way. I'm hearing no way. I'd be shocked if that was the case. I would be shocked. And then we're going to quickly go back here with the 3 and 2. So a downward sequence here. So what I'm hearing is that Micah, she had passion about her life. Again, like she was looking toward a new horizon. She was ready to move away and sail away from this relationship. Very much ready to do so. But that would not be her fate, guys, because we don't have 3 and 4. We have 3 and 2. We've got that movement backwards. And even though this looks like a happy individual, this is just confirming to me that Micah was not downtrodden. She was not ready to end her life. But some one or ones, more than one person, wanted to see her take a step back from her plans. Because you see this around here, you see these I don't know what you would call them, sticks or things around her face, around her upper half here. To me, I look at these as thorns. That someone did not want her plans of leaving to come to fruition. Because they saw her passion and they saw this movement away, and they may even have seen that she was prepared to talk and say things that this guy right here didn't want to come out, that he's trying to hide to this very day. I'm told pull one more card for Micah. All right, we got 2, guys. But check this out, you guys, all right? This is why I listen when it tells me one more card or another pull. Multiple people were involved in the crime, and we have 4 individuals here. 4 individuals, guys. Multiple people were involved in the crime. And this is what Micah and her energy wants the world to know right now. Details leading up to the murder may be worth investigating. I want you to look at this. To me, this looks like someone having been pushed or forced down. Does that not look like that to you guys? Someone's fall having been manipulated. So there needs to be an investigation into what went on. Because the fact that this 911 tape exists with her voice on it, to me, doesn't prove a thing. It just doesn't. And there needs to be true justice. And it has not, as of yet, happened. So This is the message. These are the messages coming across very loud, very strong here with these cards today for Micah. I recognize that some of you may disagree. Some of you might be an empath or a psychic or a tarot reader, and you may have heard or gleaned that she ended her own life. I have not received that message or that energy, and I'm still not getting it. There were multiple people involved in this crime. And some might say, yeah, you know, he messed with her mind. He drove her to it. He drove her mad. He made her so depressed and everything like that. So he was like another individual. But why two others then? Why two other players? Who were these two other players? If we want to say that this was perhaps Micah's energy and this was that of her former husband, who were these other two players, guys? There were two other people, at least, if not three. And that is where I'm going to leave this reading. I do want you to know that every bit of me believes in the messages that I received today, and I would like for you to weigh in down below on either one or both of these cases. You can leave some questions, you can leave some information. I don't know much about the details of either case. I don't. And that is how I like to originally approach my readings. That's how I went into it with Karen Reed, which we are not finished with. We are absolutely not done with Karen Reed and all of the McAlbert 8. So keep those questions coming in as well. Alrighty guys, I've kept you way long enough. I want to thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. And if you haven't as of yet subscribed to the channel, please take a moment now and do so. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw or if you appreciate the efforts here. Share it and continue to support the channel in any way that you can. It is greatly appreciated. I will see you in my next video, and as always, be blessed.